IMAX 3D.
The best, most wonderful,
Dolby Surround.
insightful comments about technology you've ever thought you've heard until now or forever. Oh, I forgot to increase the bit rate. I can't do it now.
You can't write that kind of shit.
It was the best until we realized it sucks.
Oh, except we're streaming at the completely wrong settings and it looks like horrible. I'm so sorry.
It's too late. It's totally too late now, too.
Our will is good, people. Don't judge us too harshly.
We'll fix it next week. We'll fix it.
Correct streaming settings will come next week.
This is really horrible. All right. So, hey everyone.
With it?
I have to cut both streams and restart if we're gonna. We're already late.
You're right.
We're already. It's at 7:30 already.
Just watch it at 30 measly 30 FPS.
It's still 60 FPS. You're getting 60 frames per second.
They can't choose.
You're just getting half of the amount of data in each frame that you would have gotten otherwise.
But there's no 30 FPS like.
I don't think you can.
You can't
select that
between,
on Twitch.
Okay, it doesn't
on
like
YouTube
automatically.
I don't think you can do that on YouTube either. So
okay.
Yeah. Hey everyone, though. Welcome to Awesome Hardware, a live show about technology.
How bad does it look?
Probably the best technology show, even though we're not good at technology. We do it every Tuesday evening, 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. This is episode number 112, and we actually already have been streaming for well over an hour. The first half of episode 112 was on Kyle's channel, which is called Bitwit. What's that awesome?
Did you bring your note cards?
Yes.
I have note cards.
We're fine. We're fine. The first half was on Kyle's channel, which is Bitwit. Link is in the description.
Yeah, that was the sober half.
So click on that if you're interested. Also, we do drink a few drinks of the beer and alcohol-enabled variety here on the show. Why is there still...
I'm pouring it very slowly so that it's the perfect amount of head.
We drink a few beers.
Just giving you really good head
We may
right now.
curse and use foul language, so bear that in mind if you are if you're young or easily offended. Sorry about that. And yes, what I was supposed to do before we started streaming was fix the bit rate, because the bit rate on the streaming software we use, XSplit, is still set to the default, which is ideally set up for like a 1080-30 stream. We're streaming at 60 frames per second. Because my camera is capturing at 60 frames per second. Fancy new capture system with a 6950X in it.
Wait.
Yeah, it continues.
Can we drop... It continues?
Oh, it continues. Can't just let the little green man go. Every time we take a drink, we have to take the little green man off the drink before we drink.
Then 2 sips for me because I forgot.
And then put him back on. All right. This show's already all over the place, so I don't blame any of you guys who have stopped watching. We're going to talk about Ethereum mining today, because it sucks now. Depending on who you are and how reactive you are.
Dropped, tanked in price or something?
Fluctuations in the marketplace. We'll get to that.
Okay.
I'm teasing.
Oh, you're teasing. Oh, you're just teasing. Do your tease.
We're going to talk a little bit about net neutrality, because there's a day of action going on tomorrow, and we'll be explaining that a little bit to you and talking about some of the variables there. Not seriously, though. Please don't assume this is some sort of reference.
Serious show?
Or serious show.
Do not assume that we take
not
anything
at all.
seriously.
And then we'll be talking about Intel, because Intel continues to suck recently. There's no other way to describe it, really. But
suck in a bad way.
Yeah, let's dive into our first segment, though. Continuing from the first half, which is the continuation of tech news. But actually, no, never mind. Never mind about that. First off, if you want to buy stuff at our stores, check that out. PaulsHardware.net. PaulsHardware.net is my store. Shirts, mugs, and pint glasses, all good stuff. Buy it during the show. We'll give you a shout out at the end of the show. Same with Kyle's store, which is bitwit.tech/store. He also has shirts, mugs, pint glasses, all good stuff. Buy things. All right, back to news. First article is from Tweaktown. This one was written by none other than our good friend Anthony over at Tweaktown. Hey, Anthony! Friend of the show.
Johnson to you, Anthony.
Ethereum mining is dead. We've been talking about Ethereum mining a lot in the past, month or so, since graphics card prices have gone through the roof. It's been very difficult to buy a GPU, especially if you're looking at anything in the mid-range, because people have been using them for cryptocurrency mining, most significantly Ethereum mining, because it's a good way to make some money.
It was.
Buy a graphics card for $250, spend a couple months mining with it, pay off your graphics card's price, and then all the money you get from mining after that is profit.
Pure profit.
Anthony's done a lot of mining. I know he's got a bit of a farm going. He shared some pictures of it via Tweaktown articles as well as on Facebook and whatnot. However, there's a pretty big fluctuation in the market just in the past 24 hours, and you can tell this is serious because it's a Tweaktown article and there's multiple pages. Look at this. Wait, why won't
they never do multiple pages unless it's serious?
All right, apparently I can't click on the drop down, but there's multiple pages. It's a 4-page article. And yeah, sorry. In the last 72 hours, the difficulty of mining Ethereum has increased pretty significantly. There's some areas highlighted here. This is the increase in difficulty of mining Ethereum because it gets more difficult to mine the more people mine it. The price as a result has dropped to a 2-month low, and what we're specifically talking about here is the DAG increase. So this is time in the bottom, and the DAG increase is over here on the right, and DAG increase is the level of difficulty that it takes to mine Ethereum. Hold on, I'm going to close this really quickly.
What's DAG stand for? Difficulty?
Thank you for cueing me, Kyle. DAG stands for Directed Acyclic Graph. In Ethereum, a DAG is created every epoch. Every epoch uses a combination of algorithms. The algorithms that kind of make up the basis of Ethereum. And then a new DAG comes out. And the bigger the DAG is, from my understanding, the more of the GPU memory it uses up. So the more difficult it makes it for the GPUs to mine. And please bear in mind that I haven't done much mining myself. Most of what I'm talking about here is from reading articles and everything like that. So if you guys are hardcore miners and you feel like what we're saying is not exactly accurate, I'm sorry. But there's nothing we can do about it. Anyway, the DAG has increased in waves throughout the first week of July. And then there was a massive mountain-like increase on July 11th. You can see the chart sort of ramps up right here to 1.2 T. And I don't know what 1.2 T, I have no idea what 1.2 T means. It's not terabytes, I don't think. But I believe it is the size of the DAG. I don't know.
Beats me.
This is why I've prefaced this with, by the way, we might have no idea what we're talking about. Also, we've been drinking. That makes everything okay. So, Anthony, because he's super into this, was following this very closely in the past 24 hours. Followed it as it bottomed out to the lowest price of $183.39. And actually, I have the current chart right here on CoinDesk, and this is up to date to the minute right now. So here's where it started to drop off. So this is the 11th of July. You'll notice it actually hit a pretty low point here, 196.97. There was a massive increase in the difficulty of mining, and then it started to just fall off really significantly here over the past day. Bottomed out at about 183.39, but then it bumped back up right here. So remember that it jumped back up right here as you read Anthony's article, because it makes it kind of funny. Price drops below $180 US. On page 4, he points out that all cryptocurrencies are down, not just Ethereum.
I'm getting a call from our good friend and moderator Nick. Our
really?
Cell Processing. What's up, dude?
Wow, what's going on? Oh, is my...
Oh, your video's unlisted.
You're right, it is. Thank you, Nick.
Got it. Thank you very much, Cell.
Thank you, Cell.
You're
right, that probably makes it more challenging for people to watch. It's right here.
Cell's the best. He's the best man I've ever known.
Sorry, I suck. It's public now.
Let's build him another computer. Like right now.
Right now?
Just build him another computer. Fuck
just another one? Just screw the rest of the show?
Build him more computers than he has use for.
Okay.
And then even
what?
Even 2.0, my brother-in-law, who's an avid watcher of our show, just texted me now. Paul isn't streaming to YouTube right now, just FYI. So yeah.
I am streaming to YouTube. It was just
Thank you,
private
2.0.
instead of public.
Yeah, you were.
But now it's been updated.
Now
So-
the world knows.
So now more people should be able to watch. So thank you,
I've
Sel.
done that many times.
Thank you, Sel. And yeah, this is again another episode where we're relying a lot on blaming the fact that we've been drinking. And I'm gonna have some more.
Yep. 8. Green man for the win.
That's right. So that means the only people who have been really watching have been the true
And the diehard
fans.
fans. The only ones
The
that
diehard
matter.
fans
Yep.
who follow us on Twitter
Screw the rest.
to get the links and all that good stuff.
Screw the rest.
Okay.
Screw you guys.
All right, let's go back
That's
to making
good.
fun of Anthony.
Yeah,
So Anthony points out here that all digital currency is hurting. And again, this article he wrote was about 12 hours ago, maybe 12 to 18 hours ago when it actually posted up there. Here's a look at current all digital currency. This is on coinmarketcap.com. And this actually is not like false by in any way, shape, or form. Everything is down. Look at the 7-day, look at the 24-hour, look at the 1 hour.
Wow.
Everything is down. There's a
It'll be
couple.
up soon enough.
There's a couple that are maintaining, to some degree, a level of improvement, but there's a lot of red on this chart. There's a lot of red going on. So there's certainly something going on in the wider markets when it comes to cryptocurrency in general, and it's difficult to pinpoint what exactly the cause happens to be. If you're Anthony, though, the world is coming to an end. I'm sorry. I'm hoping Anthony watches this because he's really not that reactive. But on page 4 of his article, he notes that all currencies are down. On page 5, he despairs. He says, "What to expect this week?" He says. Bear in mind, he also titled his article "Ethereum Mining is Dead." So everything's hitting a new low, and right now it bottomed out for him at like 185 ish. Could we see below 150 in the next few days? What about below 100?
I feel like that's not a huge drop though. From what?
What about below 50?
From 220 to 180? That doesn't seem like a huge
Well, you got to remember
drop.
the peak was $400. About $400 is where it maxed out at least in the past couple months when it comes to when it was the most profitable.
Can you mine? Can you mine multiple cryptocurrencies at once?
Yes.
On a system.
In fact, there's I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, but there are mining applications you can get that will just, according to what the mining application thinks, mine whatever
valuable
currency is going to get you the most money at the time. So that's something you can do. There's lots of ways that you can go about cryptocurrency mining.
I mean, at least hopefully then his whatever system he's got set up, hopefully just switched over to the next highest paying thing, which seems to be Bitcoin. Well, obviously Bitcoin's in number 1.
Bitcoin, the value has been number 1 for quite some time just because it's valued so high. But there's other ways of sorting this as well that you can look at. So Bitcoin and Ethereum are pretty high. Ethereum right now, as of the filming of this, is $189.84.
Why is Ripple number 3 when it's only $0.17?
Because right now this is being sorted by, I don't know what this is being sorted by, circulating supply.
Oh. Wait.
I don't know how this is being sorted. It's just number right here. But yeah, I don't. CoinMarketCap.com. I'm not sure how they sort these and how they determine. Oh, they're looking at market cap. That's what they're looking at. So depending on the number of coins that are out there on the market and the value of the coins on the market equals the market cap. So Bitcoin has the highest market cap at $37 billion.
Right.
Ethereum is at $17 billion. Ripple's at $6 billion.
But look at its circulating supply.
Even though the price per Ripple, but I mean that's I don't know.
38. What was that? Billion?
But, I mean, you got to remember cryptocurrencies are developed by people, and they operate in different ways. So this one is clearly operating in a way that the amount of mining that you do gets you a coin at a faster rate than the other currencies. So it's all relative, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, though,
let's move on.
So yeah. Point being here that regardless of the pricing changes and fluctuations of Ethereum, which can be very volatile, the difficulty increase remains the same. So it is now more challenging to mine Ethereum. So the amount of money that you invest in getting an RX 580 or an RX 570 or 480 or whatever you're using to mine is now less valuable than it was before, because the amount of work that GPU can do to get a coin is now more than it was before, because more people have been mining. And that's just sort of the iterative way that cryptocurrencies work. It gets more challenging the more people mine it. So who knows how this is all going to play out? We don't know. We don't know how long the current cryptocurrency mining craze is going to last. Hopefully at some point it drops off, and there's a lot of GPUs on the market that people can buy for pretty low prices, at least if you're looking at it from the perspective of a PC gamer.
Yep.
All right. The next Pixel XL. Was sort of a bit of a buzzed day about this. This article is actually from The Verge. Originally, though, it was Android Police who broke this, and it's basically a picture of what we can relatively reasonably presume is the next Pixel XL.
I gotta compare it to mine.
There it is.
Oh, mine's a non-XL, but still more or less the same.
I have the XL, so I can.
You have the XL.
Give you guys give you guys a side by side.
So it looks pretty similar.
Android Police, according to The Verge, has a very strong track record when it comes to releasing early information about smartphones, but there is a chance this might not be the finalized design of the Pixel XL 2017 or Pixel 2 XL or whatever the hell they decide to call it. It does appear to be taller. It's 6 inches tall. And it is slimmer, so it's not quite as wide. It has a 2:1 aspect ratio for the display, like the LG G6, and it seems to have only one lens here on the back. If you look at the
no dual camera.
So yeah, not the dual camera configuration. Although the lens assembly does also seem to be larger. I don't know what we can.
The what seems to be larger?
The lens assembly. Like if you look at the actual.
It's tiny.
So yeah, I've got my.
Yep.
There's my alright, so
the little tiny thing in the corner there.
There's my Pixel XL, and you can see the cameras are up here. I'm sorry, up here.
There's my Pixel non-XL.
You'll also note that the glass part of this comes down to below where the fingerprint reader is, whereas if you look at this picture, the glass comes down not quite as far. Fingerprint reader is below it. I'm okay with that since the glass.
Looks like it's a little, yeah, it's about the same.
I saw at least a few pictures of people where they had the glass panel on the back shatter due to a drop or something like that, so that's okay.
Could be.
Bear in mind there's a watermark on this, so this isn't something that's like embedded into the finish on the back or anything like that. So this does seem to be probably an aluminum casing on the back here. It looks like it's got kind of a rounded edge here along the side. The bezels are definitely smaller. I don't like that it doesn't seem like there's front-facing speakers on it. It's definitely the thing I would have liked to have the most on the Pixel. The speaker is positional, and you always have to have it kind of cupped in your hands to get good sound out of it, and it's just not the greatest. What else? What else about this? Yeah.
I heard there were like squeezable sides. Is that a thing?
Not sure about that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't even know what that means.
These look like fairly standard buttons on the side. Are you talking? Oh, I totally forgot to bring it up. The red cell phone. Is that what you're talking about with the finger?
Maybe.
The finger grips.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot to add that to today's list of things to talk about. There was a red camera about a week ago was announced. There's only a couple pictures of it. Marquez Brownlee did a video on it.
Yeah.
You guys should watch that.
He'll do a much better job of explaining it than we will.
Yeah, so yeah, all in all, the Pixel XL, I mean, design-wise, it looks pretty clean.
Oh, maybe, or maybe people
nice.
are talking about the HTC 11 has squeezable sides.
Oh, the U11? I'm not sure. I haven't heard of that one.
The U11, yeah.
The red phone, yes, is what we were talking about.
Yep. That's it. That's the thing.
But yeah, we don't have that listed on today's actual discussion. From my understanding, it was mainly just that picture, but I don't know if there was more information that came out on it in the past few days. I have not researched it directly.
I'm pretty happy with my Pixel.
I really like my Pixel as well, so...
I don't think I'll feel super outdated when the Pixel 2 XL or non-XL comes out.
I might get it to make a video on it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm still on the fence about the videos on phones. They're kind of hit or miss.
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't do them that often, so people don't look for them from me.
Right.
So.
True.
Yeah.
YouTube probably sees it too. Like, you're a PC guy.
Exactly.
No one's gonna watch your stupid mobile video. You don't know anything about phones. I'm gonna push your video.
All right.
Stupid algorithm.
I have a straw poll that I'm linking in chat right now.
Ooh,
that goes along with this story. So if you guys are interested,
did you post in both already? You want me to?
Yeah, I posted both. So should be good. So go ahead and vote on that if you want. The Oculus has cut. Oculus has cut the price of the Rift again for the second time this year. $399, including the Oculus touchpads, as being demonstrated by this picture here with this dude.
Nice.
Yeah.
That guy.
So Oculus did a vlog overnight last night. Rift and Touch, $400.
That's a pretty good deal.
My question that I'm asking you guys to answer is, VR hasn't exactly taken off. There's, it's niche still for sure, but there's still speculation that it might take off. And what are the barriers to it taking off? So my question for you guys is, now that this is $400, do you think that VR might take off a little bit more with a lower cost to entry? This is for a limited time. It's part of the Summer of Rift promotion that Oculus is doing. It also includes discounts on Oculus games. There was speculation about this, that there's some sort of problem or, some issue that they're trying to work around, like, oh, we need more sales and sales haven't been good, so we need to cut the price so that we sell more of them or whatever. Oculus said, no, that's not the case. We were just waiting to drop the price until we had more games out there, so that there were more options for people to play when they actually got an Oculus Rift. So maybe that's true, maybe it's not. In any case, this price will be available for 6 weeks, so roughly 5-6 weeks from now, if you're interested. So it's not like you need to buy it right now if you want to get this price, but it doesn't seem like it's going to stay this much. Also might have something to do with the potential launch of an Oculus Rift 2. There's no further information on that. It's just speculation based on a lot of discussion, like when Rift first launched, and there's speculation on how long they thought the Rift as a platform would actually last and everything. Now, this is a pretty significant price drop for something like this as far as a specific niche gaming product. The article from The Verge compares it to video game consoles, which usually take a little bit longer before prices drop off. Especially something like this, which is a 50% price reduction over the initial cost of the Rift, which was $600. Right. They said video game consoles usually take an average of 3 to 4 years before this much before you see this much of a price drop.
Right. Whereas
with the Rift, it's been more like a year.
Yeah.
When did it actually launch? Yeah, it's about a year. It's July now. It was supposed to launch earlier last year, and it didn't, and it was delayed. And
launched, about a year ago.
Yeah, about a year ago. I don't remember when it actually came out. But
right.
Anyway, I guess let's see what you guys think about this one. We haven't given you a ton of time, but
you don't need time. You're all quick.
Everyone's
You're all
quick,
snappy.
So that's all right. We've already got a couple hundred people who have voted, but yeah, so it does seem like there is interest in VR. It's just that that barrier to entry is pretty significant.
I think
you needed to spend probably about $1,500 to get a viable VR system up and running. If you're talking about the cost of the computer,
that's the biggest
as well
barrier.
as the headset.
Yeah.
So,
not even just the money. I think it's just the fact that, like, the day, like, where we live, like right now, like the society we live in, there are not many high-end gaming or even like desktops. Like, not many households have desktops in them, like they used to.
Like a gaming system with a decently powered graphics card.
Like
any
any desktop. I feel like the average household in America now, like, doesn't even know what a desktop is. Like, it's all been,
or they have a desktop, but it's like over in the corner, and no one's used it for a couple years because it got really slow.
It's like 5-10 years old, and they're all on their tablets, their smartphones, or laptops. And so I feel like that's the biggest barrier to entry. Not just the price of a desktop, but just the fact that people have to now seek out buying a desktop, and most likely it's going to be a pre-built for them. They're not going to like build their own. Most people, again, are not going to build their own system just for VR. They're probably going to buy a pre-built, but they're not going to know where to look. They're going to be like, well, what kind of specs do I need? What are the minimum requirements? What does that even look like? What all these numbers and model SKUs mean? I feel like that's like the hugest barrier to entry. And I just pulled up an article, just like didn't take me much time to find it all. Sony's PSVR, the PlayStation VR, has nearly quadrupled Vive sales in Q1 2017, according to SuperData, which just kind of reaffirms this fact that like PSVR is taking off way more than Vive is, even though the functionality and like the games offered might not be nearly as innovative as what's offered on Vive, simply because people at this point are just so much more in tune with like a gaming console than they are a DIY or pre-built desktop PC. Like desktop PCs are really like, it's ironic too, because desktop PCs are like the cream of the crop when it comes to technological advancement in terms of graphic fidelity and just smooth gameplay. But at the same time, it's like the most underground niche in like technological society. Like everyone's just gaming on like a Xbox One or whatever, and waiting for the VR to introduce itself on a game console rather than them seeking out a desktop to get a higher experience. Maybe I'm just talking out of my ass completely right now because I probably have been.
No, I mean that's a significantly higher uptake in sales compared
quadruple, and that's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, think about all the news articles that we come by like just on a daily basis. How many of them are about PSVR versus Vive? Like they're all more or less about Vive and Oculus, because that's going to give you the most of the time the better experience. But yet the sales say otherwise because people are so familiarized with consoles already, and it's just easier to buy PSVR. Oh, it just works with this console that I already have, as opposed to trying to figure out what sort of desktop PC. I haven't owned a desktop PC in 10 years. I didn't even know those things still existed. Like that's, I think the hardest thing to wrap your mind around is that there are so many gamers out there in our country that are not PC literate at all. Like, we think of gamers, like when we think of gamers, like we think of like a PC enthusiast who knows their shit, who knows how to build their own system. Most gamers have no idea about when it comes to PC desktops. They're on consoles, or they're on handhelds, or
but for me that's
mobile,
that's okay.
That is totally okay. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying it is what it is.
I'm okay with the PC being niche as long as it is still big enough to get enough sales that they keep making graphics cards, gaming GPUs, and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just sort of that there's people who love to play games, and if they get to the point where they're playing games on a console or something like that, and then they hear something about like, oh, I just got my PSVR, and like, oh, well, actually the first VR thing was a Vive or whatever like that, and they're like, oh, there's this other option out there that has higher resolution and can play at a higher frame rate and has other capabilities and a wider library of games that are available. That's just sort of that introduction into gaming on the PC that I think people can get excited about. So this, for me, is good news because it means that VR is not something that people were like, oh, flash in the pan, like, it was something that happened and like, oh, VR, like it was just kind of like got over it pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. It's something that people are interested in. It's just something that needs to be made a little bit more easy to access for people who don't have $1,500 to spend on a gaming PC and VR system.
Right.
The point that the article made about this in particular was that you can feasibly get somewhat bare bones-ish, but you can feasibly get a VR system up and running for closer to $1,000 now.
Yeah.
With this price.
I think that's fair.
As opposed to like $1,500 plus that you'd have to spend a little bit on before. But, as GPU prices hopefully come down, and also hopefully the prices of the headsets, which you can definitely expect if they come out with second generations of the headsets at some point, then, yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
All right. I have to switch something really quick. This isn't Face Off. I gotta update this. I meant to update this before we started.
Where does it go? What's the name of that VR technology where it only renders the pixels you're looking at and it says fuck off to all the other ones around it? What's it called again?
I don't remember.
You know what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't remember the name of it.
It's killing me. Chat, please help me out. For some reason, I was like thinking about that, and I'm like, what's it called? Oh, Like fellation or no?
Fellation. Yes, it's fellation.
It's not fellation.
Fellation.
Something similar to that, though.
It's an NVIDIA thing.
Crazy.
I have like a bunch of NVIDIA PDFs that they've sent me with their marketing stuff, and I bet it's in one of those.
Yeah. Fellatio.
Fellatio. VR. VR fellatio. Yes. That's what my wife thought.
That can't be right.
Okay. It's time for NETWATCH.
Yes, it is.
The segment where we talk about the internet.
Foveated.
And watching. Foveated? Foveated. I think you're right.
Foveated rendering.
Foveated rendering.
Thank God.
You're right.
Thank God.
Fellatio rendering.
See, I was somewhat close with fellatio.
Bye, Felicia.
I was in the same ballpark. I was at least in the same ballpark. Foveated rendering. The more you know. Okay.
There it is.
There it is.
People know more things now.
Remember it. Know it. Live it. All right, carry on, Paul. Sorry.
Okay, the EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, has released their Who Has Your Back list, a list that they've been doing for a few years now, which basically talks about, it analyzes and evaluates how companies deal with user data when government entities come seeking it. If you want to be private online, and you want to deal with companies who will respect your privacy,
yes,
then this list perhaps is something you should be looking at.
Couldn't you just get a VPN? Would a VPN work essentially the same?
No.
Okay, no. They can
because it doesn't matter if you used a VPN to access Amazon, you gave Amazon your information, and if the government says, hey Amazon, what's the information of that guy who bought that thing, and they give you their information, it doesn't matter what VPN you used.
I guess you're right.
So yeah, that's not really a concern. Anyway, the full list is here. It's also linked in the video's description on EFF.org. And who has your back? Government data requests for 2017. The top-rated companies for 2017 include Adobe. You can see at the top here, got 5 stars. Stars across the entire thing. As well as Credo Mobile, Dropbox, Lyft, Pinterest, Sonic, Uber, Wicker, and WordPress. Lyft's got 5 of 5 stars here. Where's Uber? Uber also got 5 of 5 stars here. So you can look across the whole list. It's fairly easy to check out.
The worst AT&T, Comcast, of course. Wow, Amazon surprisingly shitty.
Lowest rated companies. The companies that got a 1 star were Comcast, AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. What do you know? The 4 major internet service providers. Who would have expected the companies that have like the worst customer feedback ratings in the United States happen to also get 1 star ratings on here as far as protecting privacy? Even T-Mobile, who's like, we're T-Mobile and we're different and we like better than
nope, you're the same bullshit.
Same bullshit.
I'm surprised that Facebook has such a high
Verizon
rating. 4 out of 5.
Yeah, Facebook has improved.
Nice.
I think since they started doing this list, actually.
All right.
So yeah,
I'm cool with that.
Comcast, AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon got 1 star. Amazon and WhatsApp got 2 stars. So all you guys who are like, Amazon Prime Day and buying stuff,
Prime Day.
What do you think of them with your privacy information? A new category that was added this year is stands up to NSL gag orders, which are the national security letters, which if they're presented to a company basically mean that company is being forced to hand over data to the government, and there's a built-in gag order, which means the company can't even publicly say, hey, by the way, our information was just sent over to the government because they asked for it. They can't even tell people that it's even been requested. So whether or not people comply with that, or the businesses comply with that, is one of the stars on this list, as well as following industry-wide best practices, telling users about government data requests, promising not to sell out users, or just having some sort of written thing that says, hey, people who use our service, we're not going to sell you out. It's good to have. Standing up to the NSL gag orders, of course, and pro-user public policy on Reform 702. And if you click the link in this video's description that goes to this page, you can click on those links in them to read a little bit more information about them. For now, though, let's move on. Net neutrality. Big issue right now. We've been talking about it pretty regularly on the live show, and just want to say that it is a big deal. And tomorrow is July 12th, and net neutrality has a day of action. And AT&T is joining in. What do you think?
What?
AT&T joins the net neutrality protest.
Despite suing to block net neutrality.
Yes, despite the fact that they have sued the FCC in the past to attempt to block net neutrality rules, AT&T is attempting to tell people, yeah, we're part of this too. And we are in favor of preserving and advancing an open internet. But their idea of what an open internet is very different than perhaps what your idea of an open internet is. So here's the situation right now. The FCC has situated internet service providers so that they are classified as common carriers under Title II of the Telecommunications Act of 1934, which allows the FCC to enforce net neutrality. It is because of that classification that the FCC can say, hey, you can't throttle this website or tell them that they don't have access. You can't slow down Netflix because you've determined that Netflix is just using up too much of the data. If you promised your customers that they have this amount of bandwidth for data, you can't suddenly say like, hey, you're actually using that, so we're going to throttle you. Or throttle this website that you're accessing that's using too much of that data.
Yeah.
They should just provide you with the amount of bandwidth that you pay for. Internet service providers like AT&T are like, hey, we're down with net neutrality. We don't think that there should be throttling of different websites or something like that. But they're not really standing behind their statements. Because what the FCC is trying to do right now is roll back the protections that people currently have that are currently in place. AT&T, when they were first put in place in 2015, when they first classified ISPs as Title II common carriers, AT&T sued them. Obviously, they were against this. So, whereas AT&T, as well as Ajit Pai and the FCC will say, we're in favor of net neutrality, they need to actually put their money where their mouth is and have some sort of plan in place to enforce this. Because what they're talking about right now is removing the rules that allow the FCC to enforce it. But there's nothing that's being presented as like, and instead, here's a thing that all the ISPs will sign that promises not to be assholes or whatever like that. They're not even doing anything like that.
Yeah.
All they're saying is like, there shouldn't be regulation or whatever like that. And if you're in the position where you think, well, like regulations are bad or whatever, just look at what happened in 2014. And I bet I could pull it up right now. But in 2014, because Netflix had become so popular, ISPs, lo and behold, suddenly started throttling them. And yeah, and it sucked. I'm trying to. There's a specific thing I'm going to try to find right now on the fly.
I mean, what I'm wondering is AT&T using this as sort of like a marketing thing, like, you know what I mean? Like they're trying to pretend like they're on our side when really they have ulterior motives and they're just as corrupt and evil as the other ISPs.
Yeah.
But they're trying to pretend like they're one of us to either gain our trust or, you know, it seems like a marketing stunt to me because it really is not.
There it is.
In their best interest.
Sorry, this is
join net neutrality.
So the oatmeal, the oatmeal.com/blog/net_neutrality has a nice comic where he goes over this whole thing. He specifically did this as a response to something Ted Cruz said, but this very clearly also shows what happens in 2014 as all of the major ISPs, AT&T, Verizon, all started to throttle. Comcast providers as well. Comcast is a black line right here. Netflix service suddenly started to tank across the board. This is direct action by internet service providers doing something that requires net neutrality to prevent it happening. If you don't want internet service providers to be able to do this for your connection to Netflix or whatever other whatever other service you connect to that happens to use a lot of data that your ISP sends like, hold on, that data that we promised that you paid for, suddenly we don't want to provide you anymore because you're actually using it. If you don't want that to be able to happen, then net neutrality is the means by which the FCC can prevent internet service providers from doing that. So, yeah.
Sketchy, man.
All that is to say, oh no, I just just closed my next story instead of.
There were a couple providers up there that did not throttle the speeds in that instance, though. I
yeah,
mean,
Google
Fiber, and then what was the other ones?
Stop
Some
it.
other stupid Cox.
Yeah, Cox. So there. I mean, we're mainly talking about the large internet service providers that have enough customers and enough monopoly in a lot of areas to basically throw their weight around and do whatever they want to make as much money as they possibly can. Anyway, going back to the day of action, which is happening tomorrow, has now been joined by Google and Facebook.
Giants, tech giants.
Yes, so they're now giving the net neutrality campaign tomorrow a boost. Google and Facebook have not released any details as to how they'll be supporting this, but I would assume that when you go to the homepage, there might be some information there. Oh, yeah. Little green man, sorry.
Thanks, chat.
And just for any of you guys who are maybe acting as disseminators of information, if you have any family members who aren't familiar with this and tomorrow see some message on their favorite website and they come to you and they're like, hey, this website I just went to that I love has this message about net neutrality and I don't know what the heck they're talking about.
Explain it to them.
This is what the day of action is about tomorrow, is spreading this information in a means that people can understand, and hopefully a means that phrases it in such a way that people know that what really is in the best interest of everyone is that there's neutral communication between different internet
that we all have access to Pornhub.
That everyone has access to Pornhub.
That really is what it boils down to. If you want to put it in the simplest terms to someone who wants to understand net neutrality, just be like Pornhub? Yeah. Well, imagine not having that anymore. That fucking sounds shitty, dude.
What if your internet service provider partnered with a really crappy porn website and they're like, hey, we only want people to access that porn website now because every time people go to that porn website, we get a bit of advertising money. So we're going to slow down all the other porn websites so that people only really have the most incentive to go to that porn website. But on that porn website, all they've got is like grandma porn.
You only have X-Hamster. Where they just shorthand you on the clips. Like all the clips are like 3 minutes long. Like what the fuck is this?
It's like Lemon Party times 1,000 going on there. And like who's interested in that?
Like I'm gonna come right when as the video's ending. Who wants that?
Nobody.
No one.
So yes,
not the world, not my world, not the world I live in.
Tomorrow there will be lots of people asking questions about why websites they go to have special information on them about net neutrality. Hopefully you guys, if you're asked questions, can help answer them. This is reminiscent of the day in 2012 when the tech industry rebelled against the copyright bill known as SOPA, and they altered and blacked out their websites to help spread information and knowledge about it. There's also a chance that a popular outcry could lead Congress or the White House to put pressure on Ajit Pai and the FCC to reconsider the plan on net neutrality. And, hopefully, Kyle, you're the hero we deserve.
Apparently.
That's a great way to describe things. So, yeah.
Shouldn't be allowed to stream anymore.
Help support that, guys. Thanks to all you who have listened to us about it. But I think information is really important, and I think free access to information is incredibly important.
Porn is information,
and if you want to put it in terms where porn is what speaks to you, that's cool. I think there's a larger conversation beyond that as well, but it all depends on who you're talking to and the best way to get your point across. So, however that happens to be, please go for it.
I'm just trying to cater to our audience, Paul.
No, I agree. You're probably doing a better job than I am, for sure. But, all right, let's move into...
We believe in you, chat. We love you.
Another segment, which is going to be Hot and Heavy Hardware.
Yeah!
This is a special edition of Hot and Heavy Hardware. This is Intel Edition.
Intel Edition.
And I want to say this is like the sort of negative edition of Hot and Heavy Hardware, because we're literally talking about hardware that is too hot. But, yeah.
Overheating Edition.
But before we get it specifically into X299, since that's what I was referencing there, the Intel Pentium G4560 is a good CPU. I've recommended it. I imagine you maybe have as well.
Which one?
The G4560. It is a Pentium CPU.
Yep.
Look, here's the box.
And Gamers Nexus has done extensive testing on this chip.
It's only got 2 cores.
Core i3 killer. Yep.
Only got 2 cores, but Intel has, with the Pentiums in the past couple lineups, actually introduced hyperthreading. So it's got hyperthreading. So 2 cores, 4 threads, 3 megs of L3 cache, up from 2. 3.5 gigahertz frequency, Kaby Lake CPU architecture, and $64.
So cheap. Why not?
So, a very easy to recommend CPU for people who are building a budget system.
Yeah.
Intel has decided it sucks, and they don't like it.
What?
Because it's
competing with themselves, right?
Because it competes with their i3 processors, which cost more money. So why would anyone buy an i3 processor when they can get a 4560 for $64? The price to performance is really significantly skewed when you go up to the i3 level. So, Intel, seeing that they have a popular processor that people like and are interested in buying and has a good price to performance metric, has decided to limit the production of that CPU.
No!
Yes. Of course.
No!
What else could you possibly do, Kyle?
No.
Scale down production of the G4560. This is according to a report on DigiWorthy, by the way. So it's their fault if it's wrong. Scaling down production of a CPU like this would probably, potentially, I don't know for sure because I can't predict the future, but knowing how economics work, lead to price increases, lead to the lack of availability of that processor, potentially both. So the gravy train ride that was the 4560 that you could get for about $65 apparently is over.
No.
The cheapest i3 that you can get as a replacement is the i3-7100. Costs almost twice as much at $117 and has basically the same chip, just runs at 3.9 gigahertz instead of 3.5 gigahertz.
So you're getting a few hundred megahertz higher clock speed. That's it.
Yeah.
For double price.
For roughly double the price, yes.
That sounds unreasonable.
That sounds pretty stupid.
I'm going to go with the $64 CPU.
Well, you would if you could buy it, but apparently they're not going to be available anymore. And that's a poor decision on Intel's part. At least that's my opinion. Let's continue hot and heavy hardware with the discussion. All right, so I'm going to make this a compliment sandwich, but in the reverse.
Sandwiches.
The compliments in the middle and the crappy stuff's on the outside.
Freaking love sandwiches.
In the middle, we have this i9-7900X that has been overclocked to 6.01 gigahertz.
Ooh, yeah.
So, yeah, if you don't care too much about pricing, it's a little bit easier to get excited about the 7900X because it is a $1,000 processor, but it is very powerful. It's a 10-core CPU. The world record was set by Greek overclocker Sophos 1990. And as you can see, he used a pink hairdryer, which I think was pretty cool.
That's pretty baller.
But yeah, the 7900X was overclocked to 6.01 gigahertz on LN2 liquid nitrogen. It scored 12,189.52 in HardwareBot's Prime benchmark, which is the fastest 10-core score in the world. It is also the fastest single CPU system on that particular benchmark, so it's only been surpassed by dual CPU rigs, probably Xeon-based, I would imagine. To achieve that frequency, it had a V-core voltage of 1.6 volts, which is pretty high if you're not using it on something like LN2. CPU multiplier was at 59, and the bus speed was at 102. The other hardware that was used, which you can sort of see in this picture, is the Gigabyte X299 SoC Champion motherboard, a kit of G-Skill Trident Z memory at 3263 megahertz, so also overclocked, a 120 gig Corsair Neutron SSD, and a Corsair AX1500i power supply. All that's led to that overclock and world records. Yay!
Yay!
So given the right configuration, 7900X can be pretty impressive. But that's talking about a hardcore overclocker using LN2. What about normal people?
Normal people.
What about normal people who just get a 7900X and just plug it in and just want to use it? You might have some challenges to deal with. So I've been looking pretty closely at X299 because I've been trying to get to the point where I can say, well, sure, it's overpriced and sure, it doesn't make that much sense for most people, but maybe it's still the fastest thing that's out there and the fastest thing that's available. But maybe that's not always the case. I have two links in the description. One is for this article on Tom's Hardware, just posted yesterday by Igor Wasilek, which is a 4-page article talking about the current state of X299, as well as problems, especially when it comes to overclocking. So they did some significant amount of overclocking using, they were testing the temperature of the VRMs, so the voltage regulators, the power delivery going to the system, as well as testing the CPU core temperature. The 7900X basically runs really hot, even if you have a decent AIO, like even at
240,
like a 240 millimeter all-in-one cooler is like your baseline for a 7900X.
That's pretty
apparently
crazy.
And it can't even get even up above there.
I think JJ from Asus was like, even like the big ass Noctua cooler, like the air coolers from Noctua, like
they still have a challenge with it.
Don't fully rely on them because they're not going to cut it, like, so which is insane.
It's almost like you need liquid cooling for something like this.
Yeah.
Now, this article I also believe is a bit of a response to Der Bauer, who posted a little over a week ago about the sort of X299 VRM disaster, as he described it, which was referring specifically to attempting to overclock on X299 with a series of different motherboards, and the motherboards basically having a wide array of different reactions as far as the VRM temperatures, overclocking frequencies they were able to hit, temperatures of the CPU as well, and just general instability and inconsistency of performance across different
between boards.
Yeah, between different boards and different platforms.
Huh.
So the Tom's Hardware article goes into some of that as far as their testing configurations, how they're setting up, how they're measuring stuff like temperatures of the VRMs.
Do you know what like the sort of delta was between like the coolest running board and the hottest running board in terms of VRM or CPU temps? Like what kind of
it's hard to make a generic statement about that. In this article, they're using the MSI X299 Gaming Pro Carbon AC, but it's so like when you're talking about VRMs and the components in VRMs, they're often rated at much higher temperatures. They're rated actually to run at temperatures up to like 125 C or something like that.
Right.
Whereas the I believe the 7900X will start to throttle at about 95 C. But the temperature measurements for a lot of the power delivery components are not taken on the power delivery component itself. There's not a temperature sensor that's built onto that component. So the sensors are placed on the PCB that might be right next to the component.
Right.
So it might not be actually testing the temperature of the component itself. It might be getting something that's similar to that.
Yeah.
And of course, there's different motherboards, different implementations of the power delivery that operate in different ways. As far as the article goes, they do specifically point out, and let me get to that second page. They do specifically point out in the second page one of the big complaints that I feel like has been across the board about Skylake-X, which is the thermal interface material that they used between the heat spreader and the CPU itself. And there are charts from their temperature testing when it comes to the temperature of the heat spreader. They noticed that there was a very significant glaring temperature difference between the heat spreader on top and the cores of the CPU underneath, which they attributed to crappy thermal interface material. On the third page, scroll down a little bit more. There's more details in these articles, you guys. If you want more information, again, linked in the description, so I encourage you to check them out. But yeah, basically, here's a quote from the article. Depending on whether you use enhanced turbo option, which is an option in the Skylake-X CPUs, depending on whether you use that or not, power consumption in excess of 230 watts in AVX heavy workloads can happen, or as high as 200 watts without AVX right out of the box, without overclocking or anything like that, which is completely not in the realm of what an air cooler can support. The listed TDP of a 7900X is 140 watts. So that's significantly out of the range of what you would expect. So even going with what you would expect to be fairly conservative measurements from Intel, they're usually very conservative about this stuff, is not being supported by your typical air cooler. I have a 7900X with a Master Air Pro 4 on it right now, and I'm pretty sure when I'm actually putting it under load that it's probably throttling.
Wow.
Simply because it's just an air cooler on there. So I'm going to take a closer look at that soon. I built that system kind of hastily.
It's crazy how quickly the tides have turned, where like AMD was like the go-to, like, you're an overheating hot running chip.
Yeah.
That's all point fingered. And now it's totally Intel. Like all the Ryzen processors run super cool for the most part. Like a lot of, like, especially like the 65 watt TDP parts. It's like, oh my god, you can get away with like the included Wraith Spire cooler on that and on most of them, and get away with like the maximum overclock you could possibly push on some of those SKUs. Whereas Intel now is struggling to even be tamed by the most high-end air coolers, which is quite interesting.
And it does seem like if Intel had taken just a little bit more time or invested a little bit more in the materials that go into the construction of these CPUs, if they had gone with something like a soldered interface between the IHS and the CPU core, they might be dealing... It wouldn't completely negate these problems.
It would help a little.
But it would certainly help.
Yeah.
So Der Bauer is one of the ones who first talked a lot about this. Oh, Green Man. Sorry, Green Man.
Been called out.
My bad, Green Man.
I'm done, so I have,
you're
I
done
have
with
nothing to
your
worry about at this point. No, I'm good.
Those are empty?
I am not drinking anymore.
Probably a good idea.
Plenty good.
So Der Bauer first did his X299 VRM disaster video, which is here in English. He's done an update to that. And yeah, basically he was working with several people who looked at his original video and were trying to replicate the scenario that he set up that caused the VRMs to overheat when overclocking with Skylake-X processors. Tiny Tom Logan from the UK attempted to recreate those, had some difficulty with it. Der Bauer worked with him. They did a collaboration video. There's a couple videos on both sides. In this video, specifically, Der Bauer talks about the situation, or the way he configured the test system in order to create the situation that caused the VRMs to overheat, which was nothing like crazy over the top or anything like that. And I apologize, I don't have all of my notes together for this one. This is where we ran out of time as we were getting ready for the show to start. But he specifically references certain things such as the power switching states of the processors and the fact that they might throttle so quickly that certain software applications like CPU-Z might not catch it. Also, there's more in the video. I'd like to say more details right now, but I think I'm really getting to the point where if I attempted to go into it further, I might say things that were completely incorrect.
We'll both just show how little we know about.
Pretty much. Topic. That's what I'm risking here.
Indeed. High level. We'll keep it high level.
Yeah, the Tom's Hardware article was talking about how a lot of the blame at the initial launch of this platform was placed on motherboard manufacturers because the CPU power delivery configurations weren't up to snuff. I think what's sort of leveled out here is that there's definitely blame to be placed on both sides. Having better cooling for the VRMs would definitely have helped. MSI, for example, instead of doing their plastic plates that cover that you can customize with your name on it or whatever they did, might have been better invested in just making sure the VRMs were functionally dissipating as much heat as they possibly could.
True.
But there's definitely, of course, blame on the Intel side as well.
Of course. Because
when it comes to overclocking in particular, there's just a lot of variance between different motherboards, depending on the current setting as far as CPU power delivery goes. If it's set to 100%, you might not see the same situation that Der Bauer encountered, but if you set it to 130 or 140% that's available in the motherboard UEFI that might actually cause that situation to happen. So, again, I encourage you guys to check out those videos if you want a little bit more detail on that.
Interesting.
Because that's about as far as I could get today.
Oh,
I did have better notes on that. I had better notes on it, and it went away. But it's all right. We're getting late. It's getting late in the day.
The point is, screw X299. You should all just abandon it.
X299 is a challenge.
Sham. It's a sham. It's not good.
I don't want to give up on it completely. I feel like there's still very niche situations where where it still might be the best, but yeah, that really sucks. The power delivery for X299. If it's just an 8-pin, they were testing some of the cables and finding that the cables could get really hot because if you overclock and the power draw becomes significant, that can be an issue. So going with a power delivery system that has at least 8 plus 4 pin or 8 plus 8 pin for the motherboard might be a better option for you.
All right.
Which is also something that we've discussed in the past and be like, it doesn't matter because the CPU can never actually pull that much. But these CPUs actually seem to be getting more towards that, which is crazy, especially when you consider that we're only up to the 10-core model that's actually out and available right now. And Intel is still supposed to be giving us 12, 14, 16, and 18-core options coming in the next few months. It's crazy to see how this might actually still be viable on this platform. But if they're able to pull it off, that'll be somewhat impressive. And Threadripper is expected, Vega's expected at the end of this month. I don't know. I don't know anything about Threadripper. Shut up.
All right. Either.
That's all for my prepared material for this episode. Let's dive into some quick Q&A. We have some questions that have been submitted with some donations. So thanks to you guys who have been supporting us in that manner. We'll run down that really quickly.
Beautiful. All right, first one we've got here is from Fred Rant for $15. Was wondering if you did not want any money. LOL, here's your share. Will you be able to share the $200 when you do the pie challenge?
We could. I mean, if it was very specifically like, hey, here's $200, Paulo's Kyle 100.
What you could do
we'll
is
remember
just
that. We'll remember that.
What you could do is just do 100 on each half.
Or 100 on each half is also fine.
That works. That way we don't have to do it. Like you can just handle it. It makes it easier for us.
But we do want to work that out.
Yeah. Money, we like money.
We don't want to turn anyone away.
No money shall be turned away. MB67 for the $20. Love the show, Paul, even if you don't stream it publicly. LOL. Here's $20 for a nice 6-pack of craft beer.
Why, thank you.
Cheers. You can get a nice 6-pack for $20.
That might get us a 12-pack.
That's like the best 6-pack you could possibly buy. You should never a 6-pack for more than $20 does not exist. TV Chow! TV Chow for the $5!
Leave it out.
Holy shit! But a Samsung GS8, a wireless charger, and the VR headset with it. All $600 from Prime Day.
Damn.
Can you say VR porn? Oh yeah! You two are great. Be on me. Wow, Thievy, you are just too special.
I feel like
you're too much.
I feel like when you do that voice, it's exactly what he had in mind the whole time.
That is what I imagine Thievy sounds
like. Can you say VR?
Okay. What if we met Thievy in person one day, like at a fan meetup, and he sounded exactly like.
Oh, I was thinking you were gonna say, what if he's just like a fat white dude or something?
Or he's like, sup?
Sounds good.
I'm Thievy. Damn, Thievy.
Thievy.
Either way, thanks for the donation, sir. Good luck on your VR headset.
Hayden
$5.
$5.
Would you give advice against gaming on a 43-inch 4K TV? Also, any news on the new Noctua fans? So, to address the 4K TV,
I wouldn't say against it. I would very much be interested if that TV has a gaming mode that turns off post-processing to eliminate input lag.
Yep.
That'd be the best thing. Other than that, you're gonna have a 4K, probably 60 hertz experience.
Yep, which isn't terrible.
Which is fine, yeah.
Totally fine. New Noctua fans, I have no information on that. I've watched several videos that people have covered at Computex recently about the new Noctuas, and I have nothing to comment.
Really small gap between the fan blades and the housing.
Yes. Yes. Blade.
That's what we know.
Blade housing gap or whatever.
Ulysses Lira, $5 donation. Was here since the beginning.
BB.
Baby.
And we acknowledge that.
Yeah, I'm proud.
We respect that here. So,
yep.
Kudos to you, sir.
Thank you.
Or Madame. Super Pi Games SPG for the 50 knock. Finally,
Knox.
Dona was back, and really love you guys. So it was a Twitter link, 4:30 a.m. Norway, twitter.com. Not sure what that means.
And there's a Twitter link. It looks like a really good Twitter link. There's a very long number at the end.
Yeah. The longer the number, the more interesting the link. That's what I found in my experience. Thank you, Super Pie.
Thanks, Super Pie.
Buffalo Warrior 7, $5.55 had to battle an unlisted video to donate. Kyle Pine Drops is a decent IPA, but like the Get Bent from Parkway out of Salem, Virginia. Try to find it.
Pine Drops.
Pine Drops is
that sounds good. That's a good name for a beer.
Pine Drops, yeah.
It's like it dropped out of the trees or something.
Get Bent from Parkway out of Salem, Virginia is also a good one I should try. Get Bent from Parkway.
Okay.
I'll try to remember that. Thanks for the suggestion there, Buffalo. Coda, $5. Have you had any beer from Against the Grain Brewing Company? Against the Grain Brewing Company? Never heard of them. Never had their stuff.
That's a good Bad Religion song, though.
It's a good beer brewing company name, too. It's Against the Grain, get it? Because they're dealing with grains, like the wheat. Or the...
I guess that makes sense, yeah.
There's some wordplay there.
Yeah.
Luke not $5. It's more likely that we're a projection on the surface of an event horizon than inside of VR. Totally agree. Couldn't agree more.
Yes, you're right. That makes perfect sense.
El Jefe reviews again for the $10. I picked up a Z170 Maximus 8 Hero, $118 after mail-in rebate. That's a really good price. And 16 gigs of Trident ZRGB DDR4 from Newegg. Should I go i5 7600K or i7 7700K for 1080p gaming and YouTube channel video editing? I will say if you're doing some hardcore video editing, you're doing that regularly, the i7 is nice because it is hyper-threaded, and it's got 4 cores, 8 threads. I would even possibly consider Ryzen if you're doing any sort of workstation applications whatsoever, because you're going to be getting more threads and cores as a result for either not much more money or less money than what you could get for an equivalent mainstream Intel processor. So check out maybe like a 1600, like an R5 1600 perhaps, or even an R7 1700. That's what I've said in all my recent videos. Like, all my recent videos is like, if you're just gaming, just go with Intel. But if you're doing anything else besides gaming, then just do Ryzen. That's what I've said in like every other video.
Advice.
It would be wrong of me to go against that that opinion now, so that's what I'm going to stick true to.
Real quick,
at this point.
Super Pi Games, because he's going crazy in chat. This was his Twitter link. He has the wood case. It's a 4930K CPU at 4.5 gigahertz, 32 gigs of RAM, a Zotac Ampix Cream, and a 1080 Ti custom loop.
That's a cool case. This is the
wood paneling.
Fantex, right?
I think.
No, NZXT. What case is this? It looks like
it looks like an NZXT, I feel like.
Yeah,
right?
I'd say NZXT, like a Switch or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Cool though.
It's definitely wood paneled.
Woody!
Nice case.
Giving me a firm Woody, that's for sure. All right. Next up, we've got. Where do we leave off? Knowledge, right?
Yes.
No.
Knowledge.
$7.77. Random pop quiz. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. Ministry of Truth. What book is this from? Cheers, guys. I love your content.
1984.
That's from. I was gonna say 50 Shades of Grey, but you're probably right.
Right? Yeah, 1984.
You're probably
Thanks,
right.
Knowledge. That's a good book. Everyone should read it. Cardoc 221 $10 donation. Dual Xeon 5687 small business server converted to gaming content creation PC rocking an AMD 7950. Upgrade the graphics and add RAM, or sell the system and build a 6-core Ryzen system. Gosh. I mean, Xeon Dual 5687, you have a lot of compute power there. Sorry, did I miss the green man?
Yep.
You got a lot of compute power there, but
did the graphics
if your concern is gaming, frequency is definitely going to be very significantly important to you.
True.
So yeah, I would consider something like the 6-core Ryzen system because I think we'll get a nice boost in IPC.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, and you'll be able to overclock and get a higher frequency. So,
indeed,
there you go. That's my suggestion.
Matt Grimes with $5. Where can I buy a DeBauer Delid Mate 2? The only website I can find that has it is caseking.de. Doesn't ship to the USA. Thanks for being awesome. I don't know.
Yeah, that might be your only option for now.
Yeah. He's just a dude selling stuff. So out of his backyard, pretty much. So.
Is this a 2? I don't know if this is a 2 or not.
Is that a delidding? You have a delidding tool?
Yeah.
In DeBauer?
Yeah.
Did he send you one or personally?
No, he physically handed it to
you
me
at Computex?
Computex.
Nice. Are you gonna put it to use?
So this is for LGA 1150, 1151.
Better put that shit
CPUs.
to use, bruh.
But yeah, it's way better than other delidding methods because it's much more precise. So.
Which means less risky and less prone to damage.
Yeah, but I know he's been working on the one for the current generation, the LGA 2066 stuff, but like they're still working on it.
Yeah, it's work in progress. Thank
you
very much.
It's also a big challenge because right now he's got up to the 7900X, but once it goes up beyond that, it's going to be the larger dies on the 7920, 7940, 7960, and 7980. So if he makes one right now that works for one, and then those other CPUs start coming out and people try to use it on those other CPUs, it might actually damage those CPUs because of the size of the die as well as other surface-mounted hardware that's on there. So it's a difficult thing to do when you're trying to bring a product to market like that.
Indeed.
So, yeah.
Business stuff. Thank you very much, though, Matt Grimes. BBQ Ribs. Barbecue Ribs, $5. I'm starting a small business resin casting, making mechanical keyboard caps and collectible resin toys. Any tips for starting a small business?
No. I mean, not that I don't think you should. Just that I don't have any tips.
Give it your all.
Maintain
your life to
a reasonable social media presence. I don't know. I feel like that's a marketing tactic for.
Get in contact with Massdrop. That'll get you on the map.
Yeah,
for keyboard caps, are you kidding?
That's
for resin-based,
that's a good choice.
Double injection shot, whatever.
They do lots of that stuff.
Hit up Massdrop. They're always looking for like underground shit to be like stand out from the rest of the mainstream. Hit up Massdrop and see like, hey, can I just do like a small sale or whatever on your website? Maybe that can put you on the grid or put you on the map somewhere.
Yeah, maybe keyboard manufacturers as well. Try to get a partnership going or something like that.
Yeah.
Anything that has a larger audience than you do that can give you more exposure.
Just use people.
Yeah, just use that.
Just whore yourself out. Be a whore. Don't be afraid to be a whore. Don't tell your parents I said that.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Barbecue Ribs. Sticks, $10. Donated last week and got two guys, one screwdriver comment. Thanks, guys, for the laughs. Keep up the great work. Attempting to do some PC building time lapses of my own. Love the content. Two guys, one screwdriver. Do you remember that? How did that come up? I don't even want to know why that was mentioned.
Only vaguely.
Only vaguely.
This is why we should be required to rewatch the live show the next day. Every day.
I've never rewatched any of our shows because I'm just the
occasional time I have to actually pull it up. I'm like, oh god, that's terrible.
One day,
why?
You know what? One day,
why does anyone watch that?
As much as I hate them so much, we should one day, like maybe for like our 1000th episode or something, or 500th, do like Kyle and Paul reaction to a compilation of just best moments. We'll have like Cell or maybe a couple other moderators.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That'd be kind of fun. But we'd have to watch it while we're drinking, just to not super cringe super hard.
And then we have to do a follow-up to that where we react to the one we're reacting.
Yeah, right.
It would just
be like window within a window within a window.
Draw that out as far as we can go.
Reactception.
They go pretty far.
Thank you very much, Sticks, for that beautiful idea. Jake3D, $5. Do you both use an editor or just Paul? How much do they edit versus your edit after? How long have you used an editor? So, fun fact, I was working with this guy named Joe, and he helped me do some video editing for projects in the past and CES last year. And then I introduced him to Paul, and they started working together.
Super shady
stuff, under the table, you know, evading taxes and all that. No, none of that frisky business. And then I introduced Joe to Paul, and then Joe started editing more videos more frequently for Paul. And for a while there, I was not really doing any contract work with Joe at all until recently. He's edited probably 2 videos for me in the last month or so. And there's another one on its way. So Joe is actually kind of double fisting both me and Paul in the most professional way possible.
See, from my perspective, you know, Kyle abandoned Joe, left Joe. Joe was like, Kyle, I need work, and you know, I gotta eat and everything. And Kyle was like, fuck you, Joe.
Fuck you.
Whereas I was like, Joe, I'm gonna provide you a constant supply of work. And so I've been working with Joe for, I feel like 1.5 to 2 years now. It's right in that range.
Good guy, Paul. Yeah, no, you've definitely been working with Joe more.
Joe edits 1 or 2 of my videos every week. I send him the raw footage and usually an outline or something like that of kind of what I'm going for.
Yep.
He edits it all together. He sends me back a project file, and then I load up the project file, run back through the project. And it depends. Sometimes I'm just like, I watch it and I'm good, render it out. Sometimes I spend another couple hours editing it myself. It really depends on the project and whether or not Joe did a good job.
Joe is amazing.
Sometimes
by the way.
He sucks. No, Joe's awesome.
By the way,
we love Joe.
If you're ever interested in just like, you know, editing or even like visual effects, he does really good work on that front. Those of you who have seen the Fractal Design pre-roll with my grandpa, as my grandpa like runs the car into like into the neighborhood and the car explodes, that's all Joe. Like Joe does all the visual effects for pretty much anything you'd see on my channel.
The one where Kyle and Josh appear in my living room with the VR headsets, like Joe did that special effects as well. Yeah, he does a really good job. So
he's awesome.
Good job, Joe.
GG.
And nobody else give him work because he's ours.
We're hoarding him. We're hoarding Joe for the next 10 years. But thank you very much, Sticks, Jake. Oh no, wait.
Jake
that
3D.
was Jake 3D. Next we
2
got
more.
CardDoc221, $5. Oh yeah, and you guys are awesome. Drink a Great Lakes Edmund Fitzgerald for me next week. Edmund Fitzgerald. That sounds great. I will.
The Wreck of the Edmund
Fitzgerald
is a song.
Sounds like a distinguished gentleman. And Luke, for once again, not Luke, $5. Also read the Foundation series to offset the Orwellianism. In reference to George Orwell? Or no? Orwell...
the Foundation series is by... I'm sorry. I've read part of it. I haven't read the whole thing. Foundation...
It's a book series?
It's one of the consummate sci-fi authors.
Asimov?
Isaac Asimov, yes. Isaac Asimov. Foundation, yeah. I've only read a couple of those books, though, but I should get back into it. Thank you, chat. Oh, my gosh. Chat everywhere is like, Isaac Asimov. Yes.
Asimov!
So never heard of him. Does that have anything to do with sci-fi at all? Asimov? Okay, yeah, sorry. It's a brain fart.
That's okay. I didn't know either.
Okay. Thank you, Luke.
Yay, donations.
I should get back into that.
Let's do really quick Johnson shoutouts.
Johnsons, we got a couple of those. I have 4 Johnsons. First Johnson from Michael from Ohio. Got a Thumbscrew t-shirt. Big thank you to you, sir. Michael and a Johnson. Scott from California.
Double Johnson from Scott.
Hey, Scott Double Johnson got the Thumbscrew shirt as well as the English pub glass.
Got some glasses and a CPU cooler shirt. Thank you very much, sir.
And you will get those together in the same box, and you get a shipping refund back from us. Derek from Delaware. Thank you, Derek. Got a couple English pub glasses. Big Johnson for Derek. And finally, Zach from Missouri. Thank you so much, Zach, for grabbing also an English pub glass. I'm going to sell out of those soon enough.
Oh, yeah.
You just wait. All right, and that wraps it up for this.
We had 2 more donations.
We had 2 more donations.
Very last
second.
So we're cutting them off after these 2 donations. Okay. It doesn't matter. We're not reading anymore. But Sekpazi 12, $5. I have a Pentium G4560, which we were just talking about, and a GTX 1060 3GB with a 430 watt power supply. So tomorrow I'm getting an i5 7600K. Should I get a higher power supply, or is the 430 watt supply fine? I'm going to say you're okay.
If it's a decent power supply, if it's not like some cut rate, no-name brand you've never heard of, if it's 80-plus bronze Corsair, you're probably just fine.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to go too much beyond that GTX 1060 with that, because if you increase your GPU power draw, you might,
especially if you're overclocking.
Yeah, only when it's peaking, you might start to see a little bit. But with that CPU and GPU, you should be totally fine with 430 watts.
Indeed. And then finally, we have Mert Dragon for $5. Greetings from Las Vegas. Would you guys ever consider a fan meetup here in Sin City?
We go there at least once a year, so I feel like that wouldn't be out of the question. Just usually we're there during CES, and it's so packed with everything happening all week, so that makes it more of a challenge.
Maybe we could do like an Old Town meetup.
Yeah.
You know, we're just like,
I wouldn't be...
just chilling in Old Town or something.
But I strip. I feel like we're getting more and more to the point where when we go places, if we're at a place, like it's more obligatory that like we should just do a fan meetup wherever we're at.
Yeah.
So we'll do our very best to incorporate more of those when we go and do traveling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like fan meetups. I like meeting you
I
guys.
do too.
It's always fun.
They're really cool. The ones we've had have all gone really well, so that's cool.
Yep, no one's killed us yet.
All right. Guys, that's all for my half of the show. Thanks so much for watching. If you missed Kyle's half, it's linked in the description. If you want to hit the thumbs up button on your way out, please do so. If you are watching live, we're going to do a Twitch raid right now. So go over to twitch.tv/Neptura. Neptura. Tell them that we sent you and that you're raiding them from Awesome Hardware.
Yep.
And they'll be super stoked.
Raid the hell out of their buttholes.
If anybody's interested in making timestamps for us, please do so. We love you guys who do that. It's really, really, really helpful for us. And
someone already did timestamps for me.
Jeez, that's amazing.
I know.
Yeah, I'll pin those ASAP, and then I will also post those in the description and give you credit for that and for your hard work. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode, though. We'll be back again next week with another episode of Awesome Hardware.
Bye, guys.
And have a good day. Have a good week. Participate in the Net Neutrality Day of Action.